Hi everyone, welcome to the Always Arsenal show. Unfortunately, another loss, but as I said, win, lose or draw, we'll always be on. So joining me, I've got two guests, but one has not turned up yet, so I'll add him in when he does. My guest to my left of me, or my right, whatever way you're looking at it, is Melvin. The only way is Arsenal Marks. Welcome, Melvin, to the show, which is a shame it's your first appearance on here.
It is a shame. It's a shame.
And we've lost.
Just really want to curl up after that.
I know, but I did say win, lose or draw, we'd come on.
Oh, yeah. We've got to do it. We go through this. We'll do this one, definitely.
Life as an Arsenal fan, Melvin, where do we start? Well, first of all, if you're watching the show, please press like and please subscribe. I've got a really interesting show next Thursday, which I'll announce at the end. Melvin, look, we have to just go through it. So team gets announced at 2:00. He doesn't play Saka at left back. He puts him back in the midfield. We've got Tavares, and things didn't look too bad team-wise, did it? Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, Smith-Rowe on the bench, Nketiah up front. What was your first thoughts?
Can't disagree with that selection. I was happy to put Tavares in. No, the midfield is back to as good as it's going to get with the injuries we got. So I thought, and obviously I think Lacazette was injured anyway. So it was either a toss-up between Nketiah or playing Martinelli in the middle or Pepe. So he played one of them, I suppose. It didn't work out today, but I don't know. It's so frustrating. It wasn't a selection. I think the problem is it's who he's got to select from. Once we have first 11, the first 12 go, one of the chinks in the armour, then the rest, there's no one behind it. It's a big gap between our first 12 and anything below it, which is a shame. But it proved it again today.
Absolutely. Hold on, Chris is here, so let me add Chris to the stream. Welcome, Chris, to your first appearance like Melvin on my show. And it's not a good start, is it really? A good first show.
So you're about to get what Steve and Ben, my mates, say, emotional, Chris, because that's what happens with me post game. Normally when I podcast, this is always like with a few days and I can take stock and look at the positives, look at the negatives. But this is all emotion, what you're going to get now. So for what you are about to receive, I am truly sorry.
Okay, right. Listen, I just asked Melvin about the team selection at 2:00 when it came out. What did you think?
Team selection was exactly what I would have hoped for. It's exactly the type of balance that I would have wanted. I had no qualms with it whatsoever. I thought it created more balance. Xhaka in the midfield. We play 4-2-3-1.
Yeah,
it's all there. Let's not have Lacazette because the man is out of form, and I don't even know if he's in the squad today. So there's obviously issues there. But regardless of even if there wasn't issues, very happy not to see Lacazette. Very happy to see Tavares playing at left back. And do you know what? Even though I'm grumpy right now and it's ruined my Easter weekend, what I will say is I actually thought Tavares was all right. I thought Tavares had a decent game, and it just frustrates me even more that we didn't use him more, particularly against Brighton. But there are some. I feel like this wasn't Arteta today. I feel like this was individuals that was the problem.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go through what we feel. I think all of us at 2:00 were relieved, weren't we, that Xhaka wasn't left back in the midfield. I call him Tavares. I was wondering who you were talking about when you were saying Tavares, and I was like, who's Tavares? I'll get it now. And we thought give Eddie a chance up front. Southampton lost 6-1 to Chelsea recently. Tottenham had just lost. 6-0. Tottenham had just lost. And as much as we were laughing about that and thanking Brighton for everything, you just knew, didn't you? I just had a feeling. I mean, to lose 3 in a week, nearly a week, but I just feel really flat and really upset. And I do support Arteta, and I still do. And people keep coming at me and saying the same thing. What's your excuse now? It's not about excuses. We look back to January. We look back to the fact that Aubameyang had to go, absolute right decision. but we didn't sign a striker, we didn't sign a midfielder, and with Partey and Tierney getting injured with a very thin squad, Melvin.
Yeah.
Are you surprised by any of this?
No. We were always one injury away from dropping out of the top four. And we had 2 injuries. So I'm not surprised at all. And also, I think that we've gone through in 1 week or 1 and a bit weeks from we've been overproducing to underproducing. It's just been a complete turnaround. It's like someone put something in their coffee. You know, all of a sudden, where was the flying football that we've seen? And they can do it. I know that we miss Partey, don't get me wrong, but we can still do it. We've had these fantastic moves without Partey involved. And it's so frustrating because it's there. I suppose the worst thing for Arteta is, to a degree, is that we got ourselves in a position to be fourth. And we only got ourselves to blame for not being fourth. So we've come under a little bit more pressure than perhaps we would have done if we'd have been 5th and 6th all season round. People have gone, you know what? That's not too bad.
I just said that, Melvin, to my other half. I said exactly that. I said it's a real shame that we hit 4th because we're so desperate at that point to continue that. But there is the overachieving side, isn't there, Chris? If we would have been 5th or 6th now regularly, it is an improvement. And as someone did say in his a very lone voice on Twitter at the moment, we're ahead of schedule. Our aim was to get back in Europa League and have a big summer of signings. But because of what has happened, the fact that we absolutely what Melvin said, over and then under. My most disappointing really for me, Palace, I expected to lose. Under the lights at Selhurst Park with Patrick Vieira, with that Palace team, they're not a bad side. I did not expect to lose to Brighton at home. I think that was for me. And today, I just didn't even think anymore. But going back to what we were saying about the positions, Chris, do you understand what people are saying about the overachieving of hitting 4th? I was even looking at 3rd at one point, just before Liverpool, thinking it's doable. We were playing such beautiful football. But then it's just come crashing down, isn't it?
I think for me, the problem with making arbitrary sort of expectations and saying, well, the season is 38 games long, so you make your opinions at the beginning and at the end, is that situations change. I've heard a couple of podcasts where people have talked about, teams like Leeds a few years ago, or 2 years ago, where Leeds racked up a few wins and suddenly they're mid-table. And if someone says, right, well, now you're going to lose the rest of the games of the season, but you'll just scrape into the Premier League for next season, they're not going to be happy with that. Why would you be happy with that? And that's where we're at now. And we needed to revise our expectations post the Wolves game at home, because post that Wolves game at home, we're on a roll. We were playing good football. We played Watford. The football was good. Like, the scoreline was tight, but it was I think I said it at the time, it was the biggest 3-2 victory in terms of golfing class that I'd seen. We then go and beat Villa and really should have put more away. But, when you've got basically the waddling Frenchman is useless up front, then what can you expect? But I'm not going to go into that today because that's not a thing for today.
By the way, Chris, they announced that Lacazette had COVID. I don't know that I think it was announced on a stream that he had COVID, but I don't know if that's actual fact.
Maybe if only they...
Sorry to be nasty, but how long's he had it for? It seems like
last few days.
Not the last couple of months.
Anyway.
Well, if only they still had 14-day quarantines, because I'd quite happily not see Lacazette for the next 2 weeks. But actually, the problem what we've got is that, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not even looking at top 4 now. I'm looking at, are we still even going to get into the Europa League? Because this team, we play Chelsea next. They're going to batter us. We play Man United at home. On this form, they're going to beat us as well. Then we've got West Ham the following week. All right, they've got a Europa League semi-final in between that. I don't actually know where the next win is coming from. And that is depressing, because pre this international break, I was looking at this game and I went onto this podcast here. I went onto the same old Arsenal pod and said, lads, if we beat Crystal Palace, Brighton and Southampton, we're home and dry. Yeah. We've done the complete opposite of that. The performance has been complete opposite of that. And again, I've seen some individual performances today that really worry me. And actually, the man I really love to bits, Martin Odegaard, was one of them, because I thought he was poor today. I'm not going to talk about, we might, if you want to talk about individual performances, we can. And I've got a whole bag full of rage for Cedric, but I'll leave that for if you want to get into individual performances.
Well, we can go through that. We're not doing player ratings or anything like that, because I don't like that. But we can discuss certain players. Melvin, I don't really want to get into the Arteta in or out thing, but where do you stand on where we are at the moment? If I'd have told you day one of the season with the squad we had, and you know that January is never a great transfer window anyway. If I'd have said to you, look, I often say this, we lost to Brentford. I went to the Etihad, absolutely slaughtered, and then we lost to Chelsea. If I'd have said to you then, well, we'll be fifth, mid-April, what would you have said to me?
Delighted. Absolutely delighted. But there's a lot of buts with that, though. A lot of buts. We've actually lost so many games poorly. I don't mind getting beat by a good team, but we've been beaten by very, very poor teams. Today, Southampton, they are a poor team. You can't tell me that they played well.
No.
They were absolute rubbish.
I'll tell you who did play well, Melvin. Their goalkeeper has kept us out. We've had about 5 chances that we could have scored. Yeah. Any other team would have scored, exactly like Chelsea, Melvin. They scored 6. No, we've had 5 chances.
You say 5 chances. One was kicked into the ground. Saka should have scored.
Yeah, he should have scored.
Saka should have scored. Was it Odegaard who kicked it in? Or was it...
Smith Rowe.
Smith Rowe kicked it into the ground. They were good saves. I don't think they were great saves. They weren't great saves. I think when that ball comes across, any other forward you would imagine in any other team, you fancy to score. I'm not going to go to Saka, he's a great player, but it was a bad miss. It wasn't a great save. He gave the goalkeeper a chance to save it. Right?
No, I agree with you. I said that. I said Saka should have scored.
So I think the game turns on its head if Saka scores. Right, all of a sudden we get our confidence back. We're off to the race again, hopefully. So that's a very big part of the game, and that's what they're paid for. They're paid to take the big chances. And I'm afraid he fluffed his lines. Can't have a go at the geezer. He's been unbelievable, right? But the rest of you say about we had 5 chances, but they were powder puffs, some of them. Also, how many times have we kicked it over the bar or round the post? How many we should have got another 8 or 9 on target that we didn't do. Not under pressure, kicking it and it's over the bar, round the side. Ridiculous. We made him look world class, that goalkeeper. And also, why we hit high balls into the box the whole time. Those 2 centre halves could be having a cup of tea, taking it all day long. They were. We should have got down the sides on the ground every time, but we didn't do it. And also, when we did do it, I think in the first half, I think Martinelli done a nice run. No one went to the near post. Both their forwards came to the back post. The goalie went, "Thank you very much." What are they hoping for? You've got to gamble as a forward, you know that. So I just think that, as I say, we made them look good. And the other teams that beat us, look, Palace, I know under the lights and all the air and all that. At the end of the day, it's a game of football. We should be good enough to get at least a point if we think we're any good. We look for European football top 4. We should be. Brighton should have beaten this mob. We were useless when they beat us. They mugged us. And I'm getting fed up getting mugged. Away to Everton, we got mugged. We didn't turn up against Everton, and their fans were going to stand up after 20 minutes because their form was so bad, and yet they beat us. Man United away, 1-0 up. They showed nothing, Man United. So what did we do? We defended 20 yards from goal for the rest of the game. We invited them on, and they scored a couple. Well, 3, I think it was. Yeah, 3-2. We keep doing that. Why is it so easy for teams to defend against us? Sometimes we break. We're doing 1-2 football. It's beautiful. And they can't live with us. But when you know after 5 minutes when Arsenal kick off, you know what type of game you're going to get. And after 5 minutes, though, you knew. Needed a little bit of special magic to get a goal to get us on our way. We just couldn't do it.
We just, you know what? It's like we need just a lucky goal to get that confidence back off someone's shin, an own goal, anything. But if you look at their goal, if we'd have done that, it'd have ended up going over the top, off for a freak. A throw in. You look at that, it was just, I feel like we're a bit pathetic at the moment, if I'm honest. There's no oomph. I don't know. It looks like not one player knows what they're doing, Chris.
Yeah. Do you know, with their goal, that was entirely preventable because actually it was being switched off on the second phase. So the ball comes out, it gets nodded away. Good, you've done your job. And their guy just literally over the shoulder just hooks the ball back in, and there are players just standing around just watching it. So not only the ball gets hooked in, and then you've got, I think Eddie Nketiah was the closest man to the guy that's hooked it back in, and then you've got a centre half that's lashed it home. Southampton had 2 proper shots on target. That one, and there was a chance with Stuart Armstrong beforehand where he just sort of dropped it straight towards Ramsdale. That was it. And in the second half, they sat back and said, come on then, have a go at us. And we don't have the wherewithal and ability to break him down. But actually, a lot of that, again, Martin Odegaard, I love him, and I've said great things about him recently, but his performance was poor. His ball distribution was poor. He was not, when Martin Odegaard's at his best, he's close to Saka. They are interchanging the passes. They're moving the ball quickly between each other. Didn't happen today. The other thing, again, I am going to go on a Centric rant now, so apologies, guys. But the problem that we have with those aimless, as you said, Melvin, those aimless balls into the box is that when Cedric picks the ball up, he's beyond. So if you think about the 18-yard box, he doesn't get to the byline and whip the ball across, which makes it more difficult for goalkeepers or defenders to head it away. He's crossing from deep. He crosses it from deep into the box, which is the easiest thing in the world for a defender. Having been a centre back myself and also played in goal, if I could have right backs and left backs cross the ball from deep into the box, lovely. I've got lots of flight of it. I know the actual angle of it. It's a floated diagonal. I'll just catch that, or I'll just head it away. If I have to see Cedric take, I hope you don't mind my poor language, one more fucking set piece.
You're not allowed to.
I think I'm going to go mad.
Anyway, come.
I swear to God, when he came off for Emil Smith Rowe, I jumped up in the air as if we'd scored, because it didn't mean he was taking, I'm going to do it again, Amanda, another fucking set piece. It drives me insane.
Okay, I apologise to everyone for the swearing, because we're not allowed to swear on this pod, young Christopher. I forgot to tell you that. Right. I agree. No, I agree on that. But I
told you you'd get emotional, Chris. I told you you'd get emotional,
Chris. I love you, Chris. Anyway, Chris, was I on the pod with you when I said that when Odegaard plays well, he is awesome, and when he plays bad, he's terrible? There doesn't seem to be anything in between. No, it must have been on another pod I was on last week. I just feel that is the case with him. An absolute awesome player, absolutely terrible. He never has an okay-ish sort of game. It's either fantastic or not. But look, this isn't all on Odegaard, as we know. I want to talk about Saka. We adore Saka. There is no doubt in my mind that boy has carried us for game after game after game. But Melvin, do you agree with me that the last few games, maybe 3 or 4, he's not really been at the races? Is it me, or do you agree on that?
I agree. I think that there might be some reasons for that. I don't think that number one, I think he's isolated a bit more than he used to be. He's all right when he gets to the top third, but by that time the whole defence is back and he's got to do a bit of magic to do something. When we break quickly now, he hasn't got Tommy on the outside running. He's got Cedric, but Cedric really sometimes does the wrong run. And also Odegaard today, for example, how could Saka have a decent game when Odegaard played the way he did? You know, there is something lacking. It seems like he's put the brake on a bit. So I don't know what it is with him, but we do miss him. When he's not,
Melvin, I don't think he's put the brake on. I think he's burnt maybe out a little bit.
I don't mean sorry. I didn't mean that he's done it himself.
He's had COVID as well, so we don't know how that's affected him.
Yeah,
I don't think that's it. I think, in Melvin, I think you were touching on something there. I think it's because Saka and Odegaard are too far apart. I think they need to be closer together, because when they're at their best, you know, it's that quick movement, it's those little flicks and tricks, and they're too far apart. In the Brighton game, it was just the wrong tactics. One of the things I'll say today is that I had a lot of issues with Arteta after the Brighton game, but this isn't on Arteta today, because he's got players that are having shockers. He's got Odegaard having a shocker. He's got Saka that's just being isolated, as you said, Melvin. He's got Cedric, who should just be shot into a cannon into the sun. I can't stand the guy and his terrible set pieces and his crossing the ball from deep. Nuno Tavares did all right. I thought Sambi Lokonga actually did all right. He had a good game. You know, we had one stupid moment. We had one stupid lapse in defensive concentration, which is happening a lot at the moment. And if that doesn't happen, we're probably talking about a frustrating 0-0 in which the goalkeeper had an amazing game. And, sometimes that just happens. Goalkeepers just have the game of their lives. I mean, there were, maybe he's gone a bit Sky Sports cameras, the goalkeeper, but he still had a good game. And, he still made lots of saves. Ramsdale basically had nothing to do the whole game.
No, I understand that. Right, everyone, thank you for joining us on the Always Arsenal post-game show. I really don't want to do these anymore when we lose. I honestly, when we lose a game, I don't really normally talk to anyone for a while. But I said, win, lose or draw, we'd be here. So come on, get your questions in for Melvin and Chris, and the odd one for me too. And we'll try and answer them. It is very, very upsetting, depressing. I just don't know where our next win's coming from. I can't see a win. United have gone and won. I think it was 3-2. You got Ronaldo scoring hat tricks. He was slated this week. We need someone to come in and take the bull by the horns. And I just don't know who it is. We've lost Tomiyasu. We've lost Partey. We've lost Tierney. Massives of our spine. And we just seem lost. Melvin, we've got...
Do you not think it was better today, though? Do you not think today overall was better than Brighton? And in terms of build-up and stuff like that, I mean, in the attacking third, I thought Nketiah started well and then basically disappeared in the second half. But it was better structurally and balance-wise. It's just we've got a bunch of kids and we don't have that cutting edge in the final third.
I think first half, it was all us. You just knew, though, didn't you? One chance they had in 43 minutes and they go and score. We just don't do that. I'd rather not have all the possession in the first, not all of the possession, but main possession in the first half and score an odd goal. I don't really care about possession doesn't win you games. We were better, but Chris, we haven't scored a game, and it's not great. And it is frightening to think that we will not even get Europa League. We've got 3 massive games coming up. I can't see us. I can't see a win. What about you, Melvin? Can you see a win in any of those?
You're saying you may not get a Europa League, but to be quite honest, if we perform like this week for the rest of the season, we don't deserve it. We don't deserve it because we're called the Arsenal to get in. We've got to be good enough, and if we're not good enough and we don't get in, so be it. Things have either got to change or we've got to accept that. No, in times like this, and under the last manager, it got like this as well, where you think we can never, even if we play against 5 people, we never score, we never win. Things do change. A bit of luck, like we spoke about before, something happens to change the momentum that we haven't got, regression, if you like. And, you could, even if we hadn't played Palace and Brighton and Southampton, and we've been beaten by 3 other teams, and we're playing these teams that are not the greatest teams in the world, you would have thought, with no disrespect, but they beat us. And we're playing those the next 3 games, we'd still be in the mood to say, I can't see us beating them. It's about us. It's not the other team. We've got to get our house in order, and we haven't at the moment. Something is lacking, and the manager has got to earn his call and do something about it.
Do you remember when we lost 8-2 at United?
Yeah.
And that feeling of absolute embarrassment and humiliation, and yet Wenger still lasted that. On Wednesday night, Chris, this could be one of those games. I bet you any money bookies won't even take bets on Chelsea winning on Wednesday night.
This match is done. Chelsea, that's a loss. I've already, in my mind,
Absolutely.
I'm like, that's it. That's a loss. Yep. So that's 4 losses in the bounce. And then you go into the game against Man United. Man United are not a great team. But do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if what happened today is exactly what happens against Man United, i.e. we have all the possession. We have all the ball. We create some really good chances. David De Gea has made save after save after save this season and for the last probably 5 years. Can you not just see the script of Cristiano Ronaldo 1-0, 2-0, whatever it is? And if we lose 5 on the trot, we will be in 6. West Ham aren't going to probably lose 2 of their. They're on a high, so it wouldn't surprise if we finished 7th or 8th again. Do you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to say it. If we finish 7th or 8th again, Arteta, I'm looking at him and saying, sorry, mate, I don't care about the injuries, but the way you've set up the team is unacceptable, and I'm afraid we need to look at something else. There we go. I said it.
Chris, that ain't going to happen.
No, it's not. They're going to give him another season and a transfer kitty in July.
Yeah, but that shouldn't happen. 2 8 finishes, 3 8 finishes in a row out of Europe, unacceptable.
Who would you bring in though, Chris? Who would you want to come in? And
I am not paid millions of pounds to decide who should bring in. If I was paid, if I didn't have to do anything as a job, and if all of my job was look at teams, scout teams, scout managers, scout styles, scout philosophies, then I feel like I'd be more qualified to say this is who I'd bring in. The one of the biggest things I hate in like fandom is people saying, yeah, but who would you bring in? We had this with Wenger. Yeah, but who would you bring in? It's like, look, we are not paid millions to find the solutions. We are fans. We are never going to be able to do that because it's all good on paper. If your team is playing appalling, if you don't see a way forward, if you repeatedly see the same mistakes being made, then you need to change it. Tottenham made a change because they made an absolute shocking decision with Nuno as a manager. They brought Conte in. They'll finish top 4, and that's going to be painful. But if we see this negative spiral continuing, if we're staring down the barrel of that West Ham game, and West Ham to win it could go above us in the league, I'm starting to look at this and saying, mate, I'm kind of getting to the end of my thread. I'm getting to the end of my tether.
The only thing that goes in our favour with West Ham is that we're in between both their semi-finals, which is going to be much more important to them than...
Can you see us even beating them with that, though? Even with them having something else on it, where are our goals coming from?
Out of the 3 coming up, West Ham is the only one I can see that we've got a chance of beating because of the position. Go on, Melvin.
Sorry, Chris, I've got a question for you. Aren't you a bit jealous? Jealous of Palace Golden Vieira, of what he's done in 6 months?
Do you know what? I want to see more from Patrick Vieira because every coach can have a very good period of time. Do you remember when Roy Keane took over Sunderland, got them promoted, champions of the Championship? They had their first season in the Premier League, did really well, finished 15th, 16th, beyond expectations. And I read a piece about like manager psychology with relation to Roy Keane after he'd been sacked. And basically all of the players were in fear and awe of Roy Keane. But you can only shout at people. That was his tactic. It was shout at people and shout at people and shout at people to try and motivate them. And after a period of time, the players just stopped listening. And that's why Sunderland ended up getting relegated and Roy Keane got binned off because his approach was, you're all rubbish. You're all not doing it. I'm going to keep shouting at you and shouting at you. It didn't work. So there's always going to be this period of time in which people are like, wow, these ideas are fresh and new and exciting. And so for me, if Vieira hits it off this season, if he does it, for example, next season as well, and improves Palace again, then I'm probably going to start saying, all right, maybe we should have a look at it. But I find it amazing because a month ago I was thinking to myself, if we don't get Arteta signed up to a new deal, then we're going to lose him to someone like City because Pep's contract comes up. But I've seen some repeated mistakes made. I don't think this weekend was one of them, or from his perspective, because I think this is a player issue this weekend. But I've seen things in the last few weeks that worry me about Arteta. But again, like I say, I think this was individual performance related today.
Okay, so I'm just going to go to a few questions. Phil Macker, thanks for joining the show, Phil. If Arteta was sacked, would you take Pochettino? Sorry about my spelling. It's fine. I know who you meant. Melvin, would you?
Yeah, I would do, but that's not going to happen, is it? He's not going to come to us.
No, I know, but just say hypothetical world.
Yeah, that's the type of, if that type of manager was available, of course, yes. Most certainly.
Chris?
In the emotion of a post-game shocker like today, yes. But ask me in 2 days' time.
Okay, I'd find it very hard to have him there, I have to be honest. But anyway, Phil Macker, having seen so many positives this season, the slump really hurts. And I think that's how we're all feeling. You can tell all our faces. To be fair, none of us really want to be here discussing this, but we are, as I promised that we would be. Gemini Jed, don't mention Tottenham in a positive light. What sort of Arsenal fan are you? It's not that they're mentioning it in a positive light. We're talking facts. We are talking the fact that they have, if we had Kane and Son, we'd be challenging for the God knows where. Fantastic players, whatever you want to say, Gemini. We all hate Tottenham here, but you can't say anything against them. Although today, again, Brighton beat them, which is great. We would have been if we'd have won at Southampton. Thank you for your comment. Jamin Williams, PG, they messed up top four, shambolic. They weakened the team in Jan instead of strengthening it. And I think, Christopher, this is where a lot of fans are going. I can see all the comments. It's all about this. Aubameyang didn't want to play for us. We would get rid. We don't bring anyone in because maybe no one was available. And then we are left very, very thin, aren't we?
Yep. If I am in Arteta's position on January the 29th, I am looking at the situation and saying, guys, what's the situation with Aubameyang? Oh, we've found a buyer. Okay, what's the situation with us buying someone? We haven't found anyone. If I am in Arteta's position, pragmatism rules. And I think Arteta is from the school of Pep, which is, I don't want this guy, I'm going to burn him. But unfortunately, the school of Pep is, I'm going to burn him. Can I get 50, 60 million pounds and get another striker in? Yeah, of course, Pep. There you go. We don't have that. So unfortunately, well, we have that, but we weren't willing to do that. For me, regardless of what the situation with Aubameyang was, I would have sat down with him and said, mate, give me to the end of the season. We'll give you a free transfer at the end of the season. Go to Barcelona at the end of the season, but we need you right now because we're going to need that firepower. Can you do it? And Aubameyang's a footballer. He's going to say, yeah, of course, boss. And Aubameyang would give us an option. I know lots of people are probably going to disagree with me on this.
Chris, he wasn't scoring. He couldn't even hit a barn door at times. So
that's because hold on. He wasn't playing. Everton game, he came out, which was like mid-December, and he was turfed out of the team. He was given minutes here and there. My opinion is that you want to talk about barn doors. Let's talk about waddling Frenchman who can't last 60 flipping minutes. I mean, that's disgraceful. As a 30-year-old professional footballer, you've been playing 15 years in football and you've 12 years as a top flight footballer and you can't last 60 minutes. No, joke. All of this nonsense about link up play. Oh, look how well we were playing when Lacazette was in. No, the reason we were playing so well is because we had the players around him that were stepping up. And unfortunately, they're young kids and, they make mistakes and they're not going to be top form. They're not going to be Mo Salah for the whole season. They're going to come in and out of form. And that's when you need your senior players. And our senior player, Alexander Lacazette, missing for the last month. It's pathetic, utterly pathetic.
Do you agree,
Sorry,
Melvin?
Emotional Chris, I told you.
Emotional Chris.
Lacazette wouldn't have gotten any other Premier Division team the last 2 or 3 months in his performances. I don't care if he's good with the kids off the pitch. I don't care if he gives 100%. We'd all give 100% wearing an Arsenal shirt. He just wasn't good enough. He's missed some very big chances a game for us this season. He scored 2 outfield goals, remember, all season. 2 goals. And number 9.
His link-up play was brilliant with the kids, but that has even gone to pot now. I agree.
I would sacrifice link-up for him to score another 5 or 6 goals. So all about link-up. We've got enough link-up.
Can I just jump? Can I just jump just for 2 seconds? So the other thing is, I actually think first half, Eddie Nketiah, at least he ran the channels. At least he did something. Yeah. Like Lacazette basically did nothing. Eddie Nketiah was appalling in the second half, and I can't even remember him getting a touch. But for that first half, we saw something. Nketiah's cold. He's not the future. I don't want him in the team. I'd rather see Martinelli up top and see Pepe out wide, to be honest with you, because at least he does something. But even a poor Nketiah was better than Lacazette.
But don't you think with Martinelli, don't you think that he's wasted wide? Because he gets isolated himself as well. I'd want him in the middle. I'm not saying as a centre forward. I'm saying just as a striker. He doesn't have to play up top all the time, but coming from deep. The amount of times he had the ball and he couldn't do anything with it. He had 2 players. They pushed him wide because that's where his starting block was. So they kept him there. And he didn't have anyone overlapping him on the left. He had to give it back every time when he couldn't find his way past the 2 defenders. At least in the middle, he's got chances of beating just one player and then being on goal. He wasn't his shooting boots went on today, but he can score a few goals. So I think he's wasted as well. I think he's another one, isolated and wasted. You can't keep playing him out there because you just get fed up.
No, I agree. I do. Jamin Williams, thank you for your comment. Okay. Anthony. Damn, it's all doom and gloom here. No matter where we finish, it'll be the summer transfer window that defines Arteta's Arsenal. they gambled with their dealings in Jan and it's not paying off now. I agree, Anthony. And that's what I'm saying about not wanting Arteta out. I want him to have that summer transfer window. If he don't do it by the end of next season, then yeah, I'm going to want to. Thank you for your comment. Most people are saying the same thing. Okay, the Arsenal misfit. Thank you for joining us and thank you for your comment. For me, our biggest mistake in the summer was buying White instead of Basuma. Our weakest position was midfield at the end of last season, and we still haven't bought a CDM. What's your opinion on that, Chris?
I don't subscribe to the views of specific positions like, oh, we needed an enforcer in central, we needed a defensive midfielder, central defensive midfielder, because, we went and bought out Torreira, who was meant to be that, and it hasn't quite worked out. The problem that we've got, I think there's something in this, because I'm a big Saliba fan. I think it was probably worth giving him a go, but I've not got a problem with White in general, because I think he's been a good signing overall. So I'm happy with the White signing. It was more that our reliance on saying Thomas Partey can do the entire season, completely fit, that was folly, in my opinion. Thomas Partey has shown since he joined us that perhaps he's getting to the age where his body is breaking down. So we should have made moves to bring somebody else in, and we didn't. We made moves to bring somebody in at left back, Tavares, and again today I thought he did all right. So I've got no problems with Tavares as a backup, and I just think Arteta kind of torched him mentally with that Nottingham Forest game, because he had a shocker, but bringing someone off after 30 minutes, it doesn't look good. And then for the Palace game, if it really was tactical, as he said post Palace game, fine, but he should have been in for the Brighton game. And if he's in at the Brighton game, maybe the match is different. I don't know. This is all hindsight. But my opinion is that it's not about the fact that, White or Bassoon, it's not as binary as buy a defensive midfielder or buy a centre half. We needed someone like White, and White has been good. We also needed someone like, maybe it's a Basuma. I don't know if it's a Basuma. I don't really care about names. It's more the type of player that we needed, because we should have known Partey will not last the whole season. Tierney will not last the whole season, but we bought Tavares. Fine. Partey will not last the whole season. We bought nobody.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? The Arsenal misfit, thank you. Right. Hi, Karen. Question. Would you have told Aubameyang he can go to Barca in the summer, but in return you get us top 4? Melvin.
Well, I think if you've got to tell a player to up his game, then he should be playing for Arsenal anyway. He should be given 100% anyway. I think he was played out of position most of the time. Again, played left. That's not his game. His game's down the middle, latching onto long balls or through balls. I don't think he was good enough for us to change anything. I really don't. His mindset wasn't right. Something wasn't right. And if he's not right, get him out of the club. I wasn't upset that we got rid of him. He might be putting the goals in at Barcelona, but his honeymoon period at the moment. It's a sad state of players where you've got to ask players, do you a favour and try. Not for me.
No, I agree. And this is from CG Guna. Alba had given us 0 options for 15 months. He had to go regardless. And that's what I was saying, Chris. I agree with that. But you don't, do you?
No. How about Lacazette that's given us basically 0 options for the last 2 years, other than the short window of time in which he was in a bit of form? Okay, let's change. Let's switch it a little bit. Maybe that was the case, that Aubameyang was done and we should have just said cheerio and done what we did. But we go back to the January conversation. Every other team says you can leave when we get somebody else in, not Arsenal. We say, give us a hug, we'll give you whatever you want. And it doesn't matter if we're left worse for wear. You go and have an enjoyable time at Barcelona. The ruthlessness of do you remember when we didn't sell Koscielny? And we said, no, you're going to stick around unless we get some money for you. I want that kind of ruthlessness. I want that kind of ruthlessness from, as much as I despise the Sanyehi time, because it didn't work out for us. And he was, I don't want to get into litigation or anything, but there was some dodgy stuff going on, in my opinion. At least there was an element of, hold on a second, we're not letting you go for nothing. We're not just letting you disappear off. That's what we should have done in January, is said to Aubameyang, you want to go, fine. Not until we found a replacement. If you don't find a replacement, knuckle down, do the job. When Conte was at Chelsea, it's well known and well documented that he and Diego Costa essentially hated each other, but they decided to like mend bridges, go to the end of the season. There's that famous story about how as soon as they'd won the league on that final day, Conte sent him a text saying, by the way, you're never playing for us again. You're out the door, so we'll sell you. And he was gone. Where's that ruthlessness from Arsenal?
Well, he did.
Yes,
that's
Aubameyang.
what Arteta did. He got rid of Aubameyang.
Yeah. Wow.
Because
we didn't replace him.
You can't. No, I agree with that, Chris. But then we'll go to Carl Stark's question, because this is true. So, question: if the right players weren't available in January, should we have just chucked money at warm bodies?
No.
So you got that.
No.
That's the other thing. Then, so Aubameyang goes. We're all like sitting here today going January. But answer that question, Chris. What would you do? Just who? If there's none available?
Telling me if our scouting network cannot find a striker that is an upgrade on Alexander Lacazette and his output of the thousands and thousands and thousands of professional footballers across the globe, then you have to wonder about our scouting department.
No,
really,
and I understand that.
surely.
I did say that as well. I said to Carl, there must have been someone we could have brought in that is going to actually score some goals. But we don't know, Chris. We don't work for Arsenal, so we just don't know. But go on.
Tottenham went out and got Kulusevski. I've also heard people say, yeah, but you don't want to spend 50 million on Ivan Toney. All right. No, of course not. But Tottenham went out and said, well, let's have Kulusevski. I hate talking about the scum. It really does make my weekend even worse. But they went out and got that guy on loan. They did a deal which was, we need something. Let's get something on loan with some kind of obligation or some kind of option to buy or something. They've gone out and done that deal. They've been smart on that. What have we done? We've said, I reckon some guy who can't last 60 minutes could see us through to the end of the season. Oh, and in reserve, we'll get a guy that's leaving us and we haven't given a single start to. I mean, there's another question around the fact that Arteta hasn't given enough minutes to those rotational players that probably should be. It could be a podcast in itself, but I don't really want to go down that road at the moment because we'll be here all night.
I think you'll recognise this person, Melvin. Craig Marks. After a loss like this, it's very reactionary. Today's loss is a culmination of poor recruitment in January, unlucky injuries in the international break, and Arteta's poor squad selection last few weeks. You probably can't see Chris nodding because the comment's in front of his face, but he's nodding, Craig. Do you agree with your son or not, Mr. Marks?
I've got to. No, I do agree with him. I agree with everything he said, actually. Yeah, I agree. 100%. It's okay. It might be a little bit more than that as well, but yeah, everything he's put down there is correct. Can't disagree.
Sean C, you're in my camp. Keep faith in the manager. This one
for how long?
From Crazy Jack. We wish we could just play Martinelli as striker. I would give him till October, November, Chris. I want to see who he buys in the summer, and then we go from there. But honestly, if after then we are still as poor as we are, then of course not. I'm not.
Can I ask you a question, Amanda?
Yeah, go on.
How long are you giving Arteta?
To October, November this year.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to just reel off. So defeat to Chelsea, defeat to Man United. You just say stop when you defeat to West Ham.
We don't know
defeat
yet, but
to,
obviously.
All right, I'm hypothetical. Defeat to West Ham. Defeat to what are we playing next? Is it Leeds? No, it's Leeds at home. Defeat to Leeds at home. Defeat away to Tottenham. Defeat at home. This is hypothetical because we're going to pick up wins at some stage. Defeat away to Newcastle. You still sticking with him? Defeat at home to Everton to finish the season.
You can't ask me that because no one would stick with a manager that has lost 10 games. No one's.
Well, you're supposed to say stop. That's the whole point in the game I just made.
Oh, sorry, stop. No, I just I don't work like that because I see Arteta as a process, a progress, and that's what I'm looking for this season for us to hit Europa League. We had that little short window, didn't we, of hitting fourth and dreaming of maybe third and having wonderful football to watch. We did. We got no confidence. I'm just going to tell you what Arteta said on Sky. One moment, let me go to it. Okay, if somebody didn't know the score and is watching the game and asks who won the game, they would say that Arsenal won it comfortably, but it's not the case. Arteta on failure to take chances, it's what we have. When you have world-class players who have been here in the league for 10 years, probably you're not saying that today. I'm always the first to defend them. This could happen next week or next month. Arteta on how big a missed opportunity that was given the Spurs result. He said huge. On the game, he said difficult to explain because this is football, not basketball. It's decided in the boxes, and for the amount of time we spent around their box, we didn't put them on the goal. They had an exceptional goalkeeper. I suppose in a way, what can he say? You know, I mean, that's how we all feel. It's just such a shame.
I've got a question for you, and we don't know what goes around at the training ground or whatever, but do you think he hasn't got a proper number 2 to give him a bit of support? Who are the guys around him?
Yeah.
Do we know anything about them? What do you think, Chris? I mean, I'm just...
Yeah. Right. I can't... I think that Albert Stuyvenberg is an experienced coach, but I think he's a coach, and he's not going to... Whether or not he puts him to one side and says, you know, like, again, I go back to last weekend. Are you sure you want to do this? Why don't we just have a go at Tavares at left back? And, you know, are you sure? I don't know that happens. And then if you think about the other players, we've heard about some of the coaches, like some of the coaches we've brought in are really young as well. So maybe that's an issue. I don't know.
So I just think someone would say to him, no, don't do this. Have another, like you said, I don't think anyone's that stature to say to him, you know what, are you sure? I don't think they're going to do it. I just feel they get up and cheer when we scored around him, but when things are going badly, they're nowhere near him. I don't like that. They've either got to be with him all the time or not.
So last week or the week before, I think it was the week before, I had Stuart, the Arsenal photographer, who obviously is with the team 24/7 and has been for over 20, 30 years. And the way he talks about Arteta, I don't know if anyone saw the podcast. It was amazing. Yeah. I loved it with him. Thanks, Melvin. It was incredible. You should all go and listen to it, all the Arteta outs, because inside the club and the players and everybody absolutely idolise him. And they think he's got it. They think, obviously, a process. And he didn't actually say we've got to wait 5 to 7 years. He's talking about the young players and their progress. Because a lot of media outlets took quotes from the show. A, didn't even credit the show. And B, got it wrong anyway. And a lot of what he said. He thinks Arteta's the man. He said he watches him all day long. You can imagine he's with the team, isn't he? So going on, I mean, obviously he's lucky for him, wonderful for him. He is an Arsenal fan. Podcast was amazing. We had amazing pictures, amazing memories, and we want those memories back. We want the same memories to live again, the cup finals, challenging for the league and all that. And he truly believes, and inside the club, they truly believe he is the man to do this. So for those that want him out, I don't think he's going anywhere, to be honest. And I think they're going to give him this summer. I don't feel, Chris, if we lose and win a few more games and we manage to get Europa League, absolutely not, it won't be going anywhere. But I will promise you this. I'm not Arteta in, I'm Arsenal in. I want whoever is best for the job, and I personally think he is. It's not me sitting there. I'll hold my hands up if I'm wrong. I thought Emery was the right man for the job. I supported Emery about the last couple of weeks, and everyone used to have a go at me then. I wanted Wenger out. I wanted Wenger to leave after the whole cup final. I thought it would be perfect for him to go. He didn't. He stayed too long. I loved Wenger up to then. I was starting to feel, you know, my dad wanted Wenger out about 5 years before. But again, I do like to support the managers. I was wrong on Emery. I really thought, you know, that 20-game run, I really thought he was going to bring something back to us. But it all went Pete Tong. I don't want this to go Pete Tong for Arteta. How many more managers do we go through to get this? Look at the United fans all protesting at Norwich today. I mean, I just want us to stick with something that works. But many people don't, Chris. They do want Arteta out.
Do you know, you know Lucy, obviously. Lucy do now. And Lucy and I, pre the Aston Villa game at home, when we smashed Aston Villa, had a sit down and we were in the pub just chatting, and both of us just said, you want him to be the guy. I want him to and you hear such good things within the game about his tactical approach, the stuff that he does, his knowledge, etc., etc., etc. As a coach, I want this guy with his tactical knowledge to be the guy. And not days like today, to be fair, because I just think days like today just showed us that how threadbare we are. We've had a lot of injuries, blah, blah, blah. It was last weekend hit me harder than this weekend because it didn't feel like he was learning. So for me personally, if we get Europa League, I'm kind of going to be disappointed. I think I'll be more disappointed because it's Tottenham. Imagine if Man United were the ones in 4th right now, and Tottenham were in 7th and scraping for whatever it was. I'd probably feel a little bit less angry about it all. But it's just because it's them that it makes it worse. But yeah, I want this to work. But days like last weekend and the Crystal Palace game to a lesser extent, that worries me. But at the same time, I can understand that we had an absolute bag of dross a year ago or 18 months ago. And both of us, we were just having that conversation. Like, we want it to work.
Yeah.
But days like when it goes 3 games, 4 games, 5 games, 6 games where it's losses, you just start to waver. As a normal match-going fan that doesn't know really a thing about what's going on in the club, and I pretend to know about tactics and rubbish like that, and I look at FB Ref and I try to understand football, but I don't. I want it to work, but days like today, days like the last weekend, when you go on losing runs, it really it hits at your belief. Do you know what I mean?
It does. Do you feel like that, Melvin? Do you feel what Chris is saying the same?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We all want it to work, don't we? And when we play well, we think, we've got over the hill. This is it now. The future's brighter. All those things have gone behind us now. He's learned, the players have learned, they're on the same path. But then you get a few games like this, you're thinking, what's happened? What has really happened? What has gone wrong? Yes, there are injuries. That takes a big part. But we shouldn't be in a situation where a couple of injuries, 2 or 3 injuries, completely change the team. Completely. Everything. Why is Odegaard or any of them for that matter, why are they suddenly having a bad game? They can't. I mean, look at them today. None of them could shoot today, in all fairness. What's that got to do with a couple of injuries? Nothing. It's all to do with confidence. They are a young squad. So confidence, like most teams, but even more so when you're young, plays a big part. And it feels like their confidence is shot. It's absolutely shot.
It is. And
do something to change it.
Totally get that. And you've got a lot of people agreeing with you, Christopher. Agree with Chris. I so want Arteta to be the answer last season, and this makes me believe he's not. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? First of all, I would like to say a massive well done again to our fans. Honestly, magnificent. Each week, getting better and better away. It's wonderful going to away games. I absolutely love it. I've only done one this season. I'm trying to go to West Ham away. If anyone could get me one ticket, that's all I need. One ticket. West Ham
What's
away.
A horrible stadium as well.
I know,
horrible stadium.
It's very. I want to go to West Ham away. I often go. It's not too far from where I live as well, so handy area. And I want to go and experience with the away fans as well. Anyone get me a ticket? And also, if you can notice the ticker below, it's new. I actually designed it myself. I'm not very good at IT. But if anyone's got any comments or anything, please look at the email address and email. And also, if you'd like to come on the show, I'm going to do a fan show in a couple of weeks' time as well. Right, you two, I think we're going to sign off because it's a Saturday night. It's Easter Saturday. Tottenham lost. It was all great. And then we go and... It's like, what's that word? Like a wet something. I can't think of the next word I'm trying to say. Like just
S-H-I-T, the bed?
No. No, I'm just thinking of something else. Please press like and subscribe. Thank you for all your wonderful comments. Just to let you know, next Thursday. So I've had this planned for quite a while. Not sure it's going to be a good idea now, but next Thursday night, I've got Mark Goldbridge coming on, who is the United stand. Yeah. It's going to be me and Mark discussing for an hour Arsenal and United. He's only got like 1 million followers on one of it. I think there's going to be a lot of United in the chat room, so I need the support, please. He's agreed to come on. next Thursday night, 8 o'clock. It's going to be electric because me and him banter quite a bit anyway. Whether you like him or not, he's coming on the show next Thursday night. So I'm looking forward to it in a weird way. I'd also like to wish everybody who is celebrating Ramadan, Easter, Pesach, Passover, happy, be well, be safe. And at the end of the day, we're always going to be Arsenal, aren't we? I'd like to thank my lovely two guests who I'm going to get on a day where we've not lost. Suburban Gooner Chris, tell everybody where they can find you.
At Suburban Gooner or suburbangooners.com. And I write every day, and tomorrow won't be fun. So, yeah, really get your teeth into that tomorrow because it won't be fun.
It's going to be mizog. Yeah, we've seen emotional Chris tonight. Well done, Chris. Thanks for coming on, darling. So go and follow Suburban Gooner Chris. Uncle Melvin, where can everyone find you?
As it says there, Melvin the only way is Arsenal Marks on Twitter. And let's see my comments on that. I'm going to keep quiet tonight. I think I'll take a back step. I'll be having too much poems tonight anyway.
Yeah, it's Passover for me and Melvin. So good Johnson, darling. Chris, have a wonderful time wherever you are. For everyone in the chat room, I so appreciate you coming on the show when we've lost, with all your constructive comments, all your questions. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Easter. I don't know what else to say. It is always Arsenal. Thank you to my lovely guests. Thank you for joining us. Always Arsenal.